the business of this meeting should focus on the budget for the first 3 months of 2025. And then the MPP caucus must recognize that the Ghanaian people have voted to reset this country. They voted against all of these crony tax waivers, which is just not in the national interest. I mean, President Akufo-Addo took office promising, read his first State of the Nation address, that he was going to deal with this abuse of tax waivers, and that tax waivers have been a drain on national revenues. So what has changed? I mean, there's no way we are going to support over $350 million in tax waivers to their crony companies. I mean, these are the things Ghanaians voted against: state capture, cronyism, nepotism, things that, I mean, you keep imposing excruciating, obnoxious, nauseating, nuisance taxes on the ordinary Ghanaian. Then those who can pay, corporate Ghana, a selected few, just about 46 companies, because they are your cronies, they shouldn't pay taxes. They should have tax waivers. Why? When everybody else, when the Ghanaian people, the masses, said that don't impose e-levy, you slapped us in the face and even organized a party and baked an e-levy cake, insulted us on top of it. And all of them, the top hierarchy, were at that party. When the Ghanaian people said that, look, we hate e-levy. I mean, Momo is for the vulnerable, the ordinary folks. Don't tax it. They defied us. That's why they have been punished. We have stated that we are the only country, many months after COVID has been declared by WHO as no longer a pandemic. Ghana is the only country that our president continues to tax us. We have said COVID levy should go. They are refusing to abolish COVID levy, refusing to abolish the emissions tax, refusing to abolish the betting tax. And yet they've selected a few crony companies. And in this last minute, midnight, at the death of the administration, when they have been so roundly rejected by unprecedented margins, a margin of over 1.6 million, you still want to come and smuggle tax waivers. We are not going to accept it. We would not. Because we are coming in to remove all of these obnoxious taxes. So we are going to have to deal with revenue shortfalls because of these taxes we are going to remove. The companies who must pay their fair share, you want to select your crony companies, about 46 of them, and make us lose revenue of over $350 million. That $350 million, it can help the new government to establish the Women's Development Bank so that our women can have their capital. That $350 million can help us to implement the no-fee stress so that first-year students who gain admission to our universities will not have to pay admission fees. It can help us to complete the e-blocks. It can help us to complete the Agenda 111 hospitals. Why do you want to deny the new government, the incoming government, of over $350 million in national revenues? Because you don't want your crony companies to pay their fair share. Look, the only matter we will work with, so far as revenues are concerned, is if they agree with us that immediately we should abolish e-levy, we should abolish the COVID levy, abolish the emissions tax, abolish betting tax. That one, they will get our cooperation, because we've stated clearly on the campaign trail, it's in our manifesto, and we said in our first budget, the first 120 days, we are going to abolish all these taxes. But any other revenue measure targeted at supporting crony companies, nepotistic companies, how did they select those companies? What criteria was used? And they hide under, we are supporting 1D, 1F. It is not true. They just don't want crony companies to pay their fair share, and we are not going to allow that.
If you see that no one is there, then I know my now, we are victory and Munyano, Nanui, where they been see though, a dear Dumas Ronco, and a Moya Kofa we buy.
Well, a campaign, your candidate was very hard working. I brought no go round, no, now, a binomo enenam, a diagros, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama was in going. Look, the minimum times he visited a constituency was 3 times, minimum, and only minimum. That's the barest minimum. aside the 3 times now I call for main political campaign, or some call for either a year and a sorry program and a Omudia Fashion program. So clearly, our candidate campaign, also campaign, the food soldiers work so hard. More media for so media. So it's a combination of all persons. Now we are so committed. So I would say Ghana, yes, sir, the arrogance. Now you're just too much. Disrespect to our environment.
Looking at the gap, any numbers among your parliament, you have no excuse but to make sure say Ghana for anybody ejuma mo be no.
Well, ejuma no dey be better say ye nyina ye kabom, because for example, Mampenia ka say oral ye one of the big things ye ba be operation retrieve all loot. Say who winning bi na wa meka ye ntumi nkonkoye den enkonkoye mo ejuma. Me always say ye from parliament ye be. Me always say ye at cabinet levels ye be. But also ye nyina ye kabom na ye moa. Share information ebebua ejuma no so.
There's aura no be ejuma na Ghana for do mo agime report.
Exactly. Because nipa what time mo minus can or the kwa kusie kura ebi na obebua na ma odi esie wo bibi. Enti se wo saa nipa no wan find information number. Ebeye dey say ebi hu say bibi e wo. Cecilia da pa dey e ba abontin no say enye ne house helps for omo tambia ekoda na bibi no ka say ye nyina ye enti. So that is how it is that we must all be willing to share.
Even no board in say appointment na council ba ministry be no.
Appointment no idea mampini now.
But say ba wo be ye.
Well, I'm just coming from one of the transition meetings, so I've not entered the chamber yet. Okay. So you are telling me there's no rank or there's peace. We thank God there's peace. So I will have to enter the chamber to know exactly what is going on.
But do you know where your side is sitting?
Do I know
where your side is sitting?
Well, I don't know what is happening in the chamber yet. When we get there, for the sake of the country, where there is available seat, we'll sit down and do whatever is required.
Your assessment of what we just witnessed about a week ago, your side has won an absolute majority. Did anything out of Saturday came to you as a surprise?
No, because we believe that the way President Akufo-Addo and Dr. Bawumia were governing with impunity, where dissenting voices were ignored, so much was going wrong. And when you say it, he calls you Sambalat and all sorts of names. The Ghanaian knew that we have chosen the path of democracy. The only way to punish them is through the ballot box. And so I'm not surprised at the result. I believe it's also a lesson to all political actors that you cannot take the people for granted. There will be a day of reckoning and they will make their voices heard. I'm sure it's a lesson that will go down in history, and perhaps, sadly, President Akufo-Addo will go down in history as probably one of the worst because of the nature of rejection of his party. It's a sad day. But the real challenge is yet to be known. The damage they have done to this economy, the institutions of state. Prior to the election, you saw how vast majority of the country were uncomfortable with the pronouncements of the courts, where the Chief Justice and others were basically acting as if whenever my colleague, the leader of the MPP caucus, appears at the court, he must get whatever he wants. All those things have been rejected by the people. They've given us a clear majority to be able to do things better and far better than the MPP.
Now, talking about that clear majority, there are concerns that this could be abused. You are a leader. What's the assurance that the absolute numbers you have will not be abused in the 9th
It will not be abused. We will use the numbers responsibly to advance the cause of the ordinary Ghanaian.
Now, you just returned from a transition committee meeting. There are concerns about some contractors being paid. You are a sector player as well. Is there anything wrong with the fact that contractors have executed projects and they are being paid?
Well, if a contractor has actually executed project and is being paid, that is not a problem. I know that I saw a payment schedule in October where 10 contractors were paid. According to that document, one contractor was paid in excess of 1.7 billion cedis. Where we have over 2,000 contractors, we will be happy if contractors who work are paid. Provided all those contracts are legitimate, the scopes are defined, that there's nothing wrong with it. The issue would be to look at those contracts that are not properly formed, and whether we have derived value for money for those payments. That would be the concern.
In 2016, we engaged you, and it was about a blanket.
For granting us a very peaceful election. I was surprised by it, but tensions were high. And of course, the outcome, I was confident that we were going to win. And the outcome has been mind-blowing. We speak of about 190 seats for the NDC. That's very historic. So we hope to use these huge numbers reasonably, profitably, effectively to engender the transformation that the people yearn for, and also to work assiduously to assuage the suffering of the people.
Talking about working, the biggest criticism against this parliament, specifically your colleagues on the other side, is that they put the interest of the party or even the government beyond that of the national interest. Yours is a big majority, like you rightly pointed, which is like two sides of a sword that could be very good or bad. How are you personally going to ensure that your party does not become your own?
I believe that I've been making the point, and let me reiterate again that Parliament is the only organ of state where the Constitution mandates political parties to sponsor representatives. So Parliament is a very, very political place. It's not a church. It's not the judiciary. It's not the civil service. It is Parliament. It is a competition of political ideas, opposing ideas. So people should stop saying that Parliament is very partisan, we don't take the interests of the nation at heart. No. Every political party is saying that I should be given the mandate so that I can pursue my policies from my political perspective and doctrine. So if you don't understand these ethos and fundamental principles underpinning the work of Parliament, then you'll be troubling yourself, you worry your heart for nothing. But those of us who understand how Parliament works, this is a typical Parliament, you understand? And the 137 plus 1 Parliament that we are about to bring to an end has actually been one of the best for me. Because you see, it is in such Parliament that people don't have the opportunity, or government will have the opportunity to run roughshod over the political opponent. And you saw how we had the ability to withstand and actually resist.
No, for the 8th Parliament, we are wrapping up. What's your view, first of all?
Okay. We
We are wrapping up the 8th Parliament, starting today.
Clearly, let me say a very good morning to our cherished viewers. As a matter of fact, this is our constitutional mandate. We have the duty to pass the vote on account. We should have done it before going to the elections. Unfortunately, we couldn't. But now that we still have some space, between today and Friday, we must be able to pass it. So that Ghanaians will be paid their salaries for January, February, and March. And to enable the new government or incoming government to be able to pass, use the 3 months to prepare and come out with a whole budget that will cover his manifesto that was used in the campaigning period. And that is the only thing that we are going to do.
For the whole 4 days.
Are we going to see any changes in the settling arrangement?
Yes, I'm now going to enter. The sitting arrangement, it depends on when I enter, anywhere that I get.
Already we've seen a number of members from the NPP caucus seated on the majority side.
If they sit on one side, we'll sit on the other side. There's no need to litigate about this.
Thank you very much.
You make the case that you're just going to be considering the budget on account. Is that the only business you're expected on?
That should be our topmost priority, because we must protect the democracy. And that could have been done before going to the elections. And we can't use this precious time in doing other things while that one is there. We must do it to give hope to the Ghanaian working class that in January they will be assured of their salaries, February they will be assured of their salaries, in March they will be assured of their salaries, to enable, the incoming presidency is coming to the stakeholder consultations, take the input of all the generality of Ghanaians before coming out with his budget for the 2025. And normally this is a procedural thing that we've been doing. So I don't think that we should put it aside and be doing other things.
You expect the president to come around and give his final State of the Nation address as well?
It's a constitutional mandate, and he must perform it.
When?
That one would depend on the Parliament is not going to be dissolved now. The Parliament will be dissolved on the 6th of January, and that statement or message on the dissolution of Parliament may come somewhere on the 6th of January or on the 7th of January. So that one depends, and that one lies in the hands of the president, not me.